Hello, I'm Dr. Jean Steiner, Director of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Grazing Lands Research Laboratory in El Reno, Oklahoma. In this role, I also lead the USDA Southern Plains Climate Hub and serve as an affiliate professor at the University of Oklahoma. In this video, I'll be discussing how climate affects agricultural crops and the climate footprint of cropping systems. Cropland constitutes a large percentage of the global and national land use. In the U.S. alone, privately owned cropland occupies 360 million acres, or 19% of the total land. Agriculture is a large economic sector nationally and regionally. In fact, the total farm gate income in Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas alone was $60 billion in 2012. Crops that produce more than $1 billion of farm gate income annually are wheat, corn, horticultural crops, cotton, hay, sorghum, and soybean. Cropping systems are highly vulnerable to many types of climate risks. Increased extreme weather events decrease crop productivity and pose increased potential for soil erosion from more intense downpours and exposure to high winds. Ice, hail, wind, and tornadoes are localized events but can cause extreme damage to crops. Regional cropping patterns are adapted to historic climate patterns. That means that any alterations of seasonal precipitation and temperature patterns will challenge crop management through failure of planting rains during harvest, or accelerated spring growth followed by late spring frosts. In addition, longer, hotter growing seasons with warmer and drier springs lead to shortened seed filling and reduced yields. High evaporation rates related to high temperature, low humidity, and high winds result in additional drought and heat stress on plants. For irrigated agriculture, a faster decline of groundwater and surface water supplies will increase energy usage and associated costs to maintain irrigation. In addition to short-term costs, increased irrigation pumping threatens long-term viability of water supplies. Heat waves and rapid changes between hot and cold temperature extremes reduce the productivity and especially the quality of the products. Plants can suffer physical losses such as seedling loss to wind erosion or high soil surface temperatures. Physiological responses to climate include poor head emergence and seed set associated with heat and drought during pollination. Late freezes may result in complete crop loss, including the potential loss of perennial tree crops. Changes in climate patterns can reduce the winter kill of pests and increase the range of pest habitat, allowing for more and longer infestation periods. In addition to reducing crop yield, pest infestations reduce quality of harvested crops, causing large economic losses. For horticultural crops, storm damage to greenhouses, hoop houses, and production infrastructure may result in crop loss and expensive repair or rebuilding. The good news is that agriculture producers have been adapting to climate variability for decades. Although the adaptations needed today may be different from those in the past, the agricultural industry is able to adapt to most situations. Adaptation practices to enhance resilience of cropping systems against these climate risks emphasize conversion of conventional tillage to no-till. No-till practices reduce erosion and fuel consumption, increase soil moisture, improve soil health, and sequester carbon in the soil. Adding cover crops can increase year-round photosynthesis and improve soil health for benefits to soil water holding capacity and nutrient cycling. To support the intensified and diversified systems needed to feed our growing population, it is essential to support research on crop varieties that are less susceptible to late-season freezes, drought conditions, and pest pressures, followed by producer adoption of new varieties. Integrated pest management can play a key role in maintaining healthy crops and high-quality products in the face of new and emerging pest challenges. It is also essential to convert to more efficient irrigation systems on irrigated acres to decrease pressure on regional water supplies. And protecting high-value horticulture and tree crops may justify developing spraying systems to reduce the impacts of late frosts. Because climate challenges are unavoidable, it is important for agricultural managers to manage their risks through available marketing and insurance programs. In addition to adaptation practices, there are opportunities to mitigate greenhouse gas emissions from croplands. For example, nitrous oxide emissions can be reduced by monitoring the conditions in the field and applying fertilizers at the right time, in the right amount, and in the right form to promote efficient uptake by plants. These practices minimize losses to the atmosphere through greenhouse gas emissions and losses to water through leaching below the root zone or runoff from the field. Additionally, adoption of no-tillage management, integrated pest management, efficient fertilizer use, and improved irrigation systems can reduce the energy inputs to crop production. Because most of this energy is currently generated from fossil fuels, any reduction in agricultural energy use will help eliminate future emissions. Finally, carbon can be sequestered through restoration of soil organic matter that has decreased over decades of cropping. Soil health principles that promote this include using plant diversity to increase soil biological diversity, minimizing soil disturbance, keeping plants growing throughout the year to feed the soil, and keeping the soil covered as much as possible. Management practices that apply these principles include diversifying crop rotations, planting mixed species cover crops, and conducting no-tillage management. Progressive farmers throughout the nation are demonstrating success in implementing these practices to increase the overall productivity and efficiency of their lands. The leadership of our agricultural producers will help society mitigate greenhouse gas emissions and adapt to our already changing climate, resulting in a healthy supply of food, fiber, and fuel for us and future generations to come.